Good evening, everyone. Right now, Doom here at mcfcfantv. Welcome to the latest edition of our Empty Seat show. I'm laughing because I just can't get over earlier on. Sorry. So, with me, Doom, Ginger Gloom over there. How you doing, buddy?
I'm such a happy place, Martin.
Oh, it's such a happy place. So, without further ado, go on then. Tell us about tonight's guest.
Okay, well, tonight's guest, mate, his first game was in 2006 against Bolton Wanderers at the Etihad, which we lost 2-0, which was a very sad season, if you remember it, under Stuart Pearce. He also mainly sits in the South Stand level 1, but is unbeaten when sitting in the East Stand. So we need him back up there as soon as possible. And a big clue here, he also runs 4 YouTube channels. I'm really excited about our guest tonight, mate.
Oh, yeah. He runs 4 YouTube channels.
Yeah.
Well, all I'm going to tell you is people have been asking for collaborations. Tonight, we've got you a collaboration. I want to bring in a very, very good friend of the channel, the one and the only JSGC.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Thanks for having me on.
How you doing?
Thanks for having me on. Yeah, not bad, mate. You?
I've had better days.
Me too. Me too.
It's great to have you on, Jay. Really.
Thank you very much. Pleasure to be here. Pleasure to be here.
So it's been a bit of a strange week, really. Started off really well against Wolves. Great Carabao Cup, I thought, considering we had so many kids in. And today's been a bit of a reality check, as someone said to me not so long ago. So let's start at the start of the week then. Let's go back to that first 45 minutes against Wolves. And I don't know what your thoughts are, but that was the best 45 minutes from City for quite some time, I thought.
I thought that the first 45 minutes, we looked very fresh. So we looked energetic, looked like we wanted to go out there and win the game. We looked like we wanted to go. We had a point to prove. Fresh blood in there. Nathan Ake, I thought first 45 minutes was brilliant. His pace, his ability to press, win the ball back. All the players really seemed motivated for that game and to work hard and make things happen. And everything just flowed really nicely, didn't it, for them 45 minutes? And when City are in that full swing, it's unstoppable. I can guarantee that there's a reason a couple of seasons ago we've hit 100 points and then pushed Liverpool all the way and hit 98 points when I think it was 14 games in a row. That City in their full flow. It's magnificent to watch. And that against Wolves that we saw, considering what happened last season with 2 losses against them, to be able to go to Molineux and dictate the game for them 45 minutes. It was just like seeing City of the 17-18 and obviously the ending of the 18-19 season. Second half, not so great. I thought Wolves, though, had kind of got their tactics wrong in the first half and they were sitting too deep. I don't think they was expecting as much of a press from City. So second half, they'd sorted it out. They managed to push that extra 10 yards and managed to get Adama involved a lot more in the game and getting him with them one-on-ones. And it was something I was watching with today's game. When Mendy was on the left flank, I was looking for him just to run and go, to challenge him, do them one-on-ones. And we've not really got any players that can do them one-on-ones and really take it past a player and dominate, which I think we struggled with against Wolves. I think Leicester's done their homework today and seen that and looked to try and replicate that. But yeah, then first 45 minutes against Wolves, thought it's what you come to expect from Pep Guardiola and Manchester City, really, over the last couple of seasons. So it's still there. So I'm happy that it's still there and we can still hit them levels. It's down to that good old consistency, and it's why we didn't have too great a season last season, because we lacked a lot of consistency, which again was on show for everybody to see again this afternoon, wasn't it? Really?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, John Stones coming back in, and apart from Nathan Ake, they looked like a decent combination, I thought. I don't know what you thought.
Yeah. It's the thing with John is he's way too injury prone, and so he's always going to pick them injuries up. I still think he's a class player when he's fully fit, and he's playing his football, and he puts in a couple of really good performances, particularly back to back, and he gets his confidence up. He seems to flourish and do really well. And I think that him and Ake has the potential, if you gave them 5 or 6 games together, would probably form a decent partnership. The problem that we've got is I don't think John Stones is capable of doing 5 or 6 games back to back.
It's a real shame, isn't it? Because I think that's one thing with Stones is, yes, he has got a mistake in him, no two ways about it, but I'm a big supporter of him. But he is one of these players who needs a string of games and then you get the best out of him. And he's just not had that now for such a long time.
No.
And that reliability thing is a real worry, I think. And if Ruben Diaz is coming in, I don't know. I'm not sure where it's going to leave John Stones, really. Although saying that, I don't think we've ever really had a settled centre-back pair in any way since Pep's been here. So,
yeah, I think someone asked me, I can't remember if it was on a YouTube comment or Twitter, but they asked me, do I think that Ruben Diaz can form a really good partnership with Aymeric Laporte? And I was like, well, I'd be quite surprised if with Pep, he loves rotation, that you'd see a settled back. Two centre-back partnerships. I mean, Pep loves rotation. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, I think that's up for an opinion and debate. But it never seems that settled, really, does it? At the back, and I think that's just how Pep is. I think players have to adapt to that. Ruben Diaz will have to adapt to that as well. I'm actually really looking forward to seeing him in a City shirt, if I'm honest. He's a big lad. He's an absolute unit. So I'm looking forward to seeing something different. And I think that's something that City need in their squad right now, is just someone that can do something different to everybody else. And considering how powerful, how tall he is, and he's also apparently really good with his mouth and communication. He likes to shout and motivate. I felt that's something that we do lack since Kompany's left. We're lacking a little bit of leadership. I don't know whether that's in the dressing room or whether that's on the pitch. We're lacking a bit of personality as well. I think I'm hoping anyway that he'll be able to bring that to the squad. I say it all the time. I'm not sure if you know what I mean by it, but City come across almost at times robotic. And what I mean by that is that when City are playing, if we go behind it, normally, other than today, it doesn't phase City, and they just continue to do their football for 90 minutes. It could get into the 91st, 92nd minutes. We're trailing 2-1, rather than just pumping that ball into the box and trying to make things happen. Instead, they tend to just keep playing their football and keep playing their football, and they look to grind teams down. And Pep was speaking about it actually in his post-match interview with the game today, where City they just kind of stopped playing and they stopped believing. The players thought that for after the first 25 minutes that they weren't playing very well, and actually we was 1-0 ahead. We'd had a goal disallowed to have gone 2-0 ahead, and there was quite a few positives really to take away from the first 25-30 minutes. So it's a strange one.
I think the first half we easily bossed it. It was a bit of a soft penalty we gave away, but other than that, Leicester hadn't really been in the game at all.
No.
And then what's transpired. But Martin, over to you, pal.
Thank you very much. Sorry, I was just tweeting out that we've got Jay on to the show tonight. What I want to do is there's a lot of people tonight, Jay, that saying that it'd be great to have you on. I've just been like, we've got Sean here. Hi, JSGC.
Hello there.
Welcome, GSGC. There in the beats. What's going on, guys? GSC, giant collapse. Yeah. Big jump. Just noticed Martis' doom and Chris's gloom. Have you only just noticed that? Something we do is think. What I want to ask you before we go on to, like I said, we'll talk about this week, next week. What made you, I know we've chatted before about this, but why did you become a Manchester City fan in the first place? What was it that made you go over to the blue side of Manchester?
So I started supporting City back in 2002. If memory serves me right, it was the Premier League was still around then, and then they had the old Division 1, and City were in the old Division 1, and we're doing really well. So my dad's a Bolton fan, and my brother at the time was a Man United fan. So we always used to listen to BBC Radio Manchester when Ian Cheeseman used to be doing the commentary for the City games. So I'm very fond of Ian for that. That's childhood memories for me. So they used to listen to BBC Radio Manchester a lot, and I've never been one to kind of follow the crowd. I've always tried to do things like support my own team and do things differently, basically. So I thought with my dad supporting Bolton, my brother supporting Man United, that City at the time were getting quite a bit of coverage because they were doing really well in Division 1 and on the verge of promotion back to the Premier League as it was. So I used to have a listen to them on the radio a lot. I used to really like listening to, who was it? It was Darren Huckabee, Sean Goater, Ali Benarbia, these kind of players. I just felt an instant connection and fell in love with them from there. So I just started following City through the campaigns, the long dark days, as some will call it. Like I said, first City game in 2006. Just so happened to be that terrible season under Stuart Pearce, scoring 9 goals at home all season. Went and watched them against my dad's team, Bolton, and we lost 2-0. That was when Bolton had some really decent players with them as well. So yeah, guys fell in love with City and thought I'd follow him from there.
Was that JJ Kocher and?
Oh, they had a Kocher. There was Djorkaeff, even Campo, Anelka scored a couple of goals. Just going before that, there's players like Michael Ricketts that was doing really well there. Kevin Nolan. Yeah, there's a solid team under Sam Allardyce. Solid team.
So why obviously you said your brother was a United fan?
He was, yeah.
What made did you not try and get, persuaded to go over to the swamp, the dark side of the area?
No.
to be fair, Martin, Jay is too good looking to be a Man United fan.
Oh, thanks very much.
Hang on, whoa. This is not the ginger community joining together.
It's a small community, but it's a loyal community. So
yeah.
We
go. You can't go out in the sun, you two. So never mind.
Love it. Yeah, my brother, he won't mind me saying, he used to support United. From where I'm from, so I'm born in Blackpool. There's quite a heavy presence of Liverpool and Man United fans, and during the early 2000s, when I started following football, there was a heavy presence of Manchester United, and that was due to their treble win in '99. The popularity kind of boomed from there under Sir Alex Ferguson. So there's a lot of people following Man United. Like I said, I've never ever been one that, if everyone's doing that I'd always look for an alternative and do things a little bit differently. And so I'll look to create a little bit of rivalry there. My brother, though, he supported United. He won't mind me saying he supported them for the glory. He's followed United through all of the successes of winning the Champions League and that. I think it was 2005. He'd fell out of love with Manchester United. He said they won the FA Cup, if I remember rightly. Him celebrating, watching it on TV, he just won the FA Cup. Just went, yay. Yeah, so there's no real love there when you're winning the FA Cup and your reaction's going, "Yay, we won the FA Cup." And do you know what I mean? So he ended up following his hometown club instead. It's just one of them things, though, with following United. There'll be lots of United fans out there that have never been to games, and the chance of them getting to games is near enough nil. So that the connection isn't really there, in my opinion. I don't think anything beats actually going to a game and following your team win, lose or draw. Well, that's my opinion.
That rules out most United fans then, doesn't it?
I would say so, yeah. It makes me sad a little bit, actually, that there's people out there that's followed teams for 20, 30 plus years that have actually never seen them live and play in person. I said, you want the proper connection, and you want to feel what English football's like. Get yourself to some games, and they're like nothing else around the world with sport. It's fantastic.
Well, have you noticed they're all experts? The ones who don't go to games are the ones who are the experts. And they don't all and
yeah. growing up through school with all the United fans and Liverpool fans, there are some decent ones out there, to be fair, that you can have some really good conversations with, and there's others out there that never been to games that know everything, and I just don't take them that seriously, if I'm honest. Through one ear, just out the other. There you go.
Exactly.
So think of that.
Who was your favourite City player growing up? Then who was the player that you thought he's the one I want to see this week and every week?
Oh, that's a good question. I've had different spells of supporting City. So Ali Bernabei, when I first started supporting City, was my favourite player. He's a fantastic football player. Absolutely loved his name. He represented everything that I really enjoyed about Manchester City at the time. After that, it'd probably be Richard Dunn. He was at City for a fair whack. Used to score own goals. There used to be lots of people out there that would laugh at him for scoring his own goals and everything. But I really liked Richard Dunn. The partnership that he formed with Sylvain Distin was a good partnership. I really enjoyed Richard Dunn. He's probably one of my favourite football players, but I try to think of some more. Huckabee was another one of my favourites. I vaguely remember Sean Gota, so feed the goat and he'll score. I'll stick with mine though. Bernabei, when I first started supporting City, and once Bernabei had left, it was Richard Dunn.
That's not a bad choice. That
I don't think so either.
A bad choice. And
yeah.
Neither is Donino.
No.
The Dunny monster is. He looks a little bit like Chris. Do you not think?
I can live with that, mate. Dunny was one of my favourite players. 4 times player of the season, back to back, mate.
He was brilliant.
Now, if you ask Chris to do a bit of gardening and build you a shed, he'd be your man. But not gonna quit. So, what made? I mean, obviously you're in YouTube, same as us. What made you get into YouTube?
That's a good question as well. So about a year before I'd started my channel. About a year before I'd started my channel, I started following lots of it's nothing really to do with football, but I started following YouTube, so big YouTube channels, and how they come across to their audience. It was quite mesmerizing that I'd wanted to try it for myself. But the people that I were watching, like I said, they were passionate. These were people like vloggers and stuff like that could travel the world, that were doing this and doing that. And so that was the motivation. I was like, I'd really like to be able to do something like that. So I made my own YouTube account. I thought, what can I do on YouTube? What do I bring to the community? What do I know about? What are people going to want to have to watch? And I spent a good year of my channel actually trying to find stuff that people actually enjoyed watching and that I enjoyed doing. There's some videos that are private. There's some videos that I've deleted because they're just not very good videos. There's some older videos. If you go and have a look at the back of, all YouTube channels have done it. You go and have a look at my oldest videos and that, and you'll see that they're made up of stuff like I've done. I played games. I've done Football Manager. I've done played games like City Skylines. I've made drinks, and my brother he does cocktails and stuff. I've had that on my channel. I've tried everything, and I was like, this all isn't really me. And I was like, well, what am I good at? Well, I'm good at being able to sit and look at a camera and speak to a camera and come across quite well. So I need to be able to speak about things that people are interested in. And what's my biggest passion? And I was like, well, it's football. So then I delved into the life of football on YouTube. So I ended up looking at football vloggers. That's where I came across Esteemed Company and Steven's channel and stuff. And so I have a watch of them videos and start to take some ideas and start to develop them into like my own ideas and start doing my own thing. So when I first started doing City videos, I think I just started speaking. Originally, I tried it with my gaming with Football Manager. Then I moved on to speaking about what happened at the game, before the game and after the game, which I turned into previews and analysis in the next few seasons. Then developing them. I'm always looking to try and develop and come up with some fresh ideas. It's not so much I have things that are unsuccessful with my ideas. It's more I tend to get either I'm not happy with them or I get bored of them. So I do like match previews, and there's lots of City channels out there that do match previews a lot better than what I do. I've accepted that. So I was like, well, I don't really want to be producing poor videos compared with others. So I was like, I don't particularly enjoy doing them videos. So I just bin the idea. I was like, I'm just not going to do that. And it's the same with my analysis. I've been to university. I know how to do analysis, but actually being able to sit in front of a camera and analyze a football game and have that come across and have people interact and be interested in.
Yeah.
I've not really found the level of where I want it to be. So this season, I binned it. And so I was like, well, what else can I do? I was like, well, fan reactions and stuff to get people involved in them. And if I can get enough people involved with them, then I'll take that forward. If not, I'll just go on to the next idea. I'm new to this live stream stuff as well. I'll be honest, I've no idea how you crack the market with the live stream and get people that want to actually sit there and watch your stuff. I mean, I just set up the camera and set up everything and try and make things as interactive and as entertaining as possible. But there's others out there that I've seen pulling in 40, 50, not necessarily City channels, but other channels that can pull in 40, 50,000 views at any one time. I have a look at the content that they're producing, and there's some channels out there that can produce better quality that deserve more views than others. So I think it just all comes down to personality and trying to get that across. So that's ultimately what I try and do. And at the moment, with the transfer updates that I do, I feel like I've managed to best get my personality across.
Yeah.
So that's why I think people enjoy then listening to me and how I'm coming across. So I'm always looking to develop and get better and stuff. It's an ever adapting game. Lots of fresh ideas and stuff coming out there. I mean, I'm a big fan of the City Extra lads and the stuff they're doing and the quality they're producing. It's just it blows my mind. Yeah, it's insane. But I think all City channels, really, I think everyone's kind of improved their game. They're all heading in their own direction. They're all talking about the same thing, but they're all doing things in their own way. Which is really refreshing to see. And what's really good to see is the growth of these channels. There used to be a time when you'd be speaking about City channels having between 1,000 and 5,000 subscribers. You come back 12 to 18 months later, and these channels now, like what your channel's sitting on, is it 14, nearly 15,000 subscribers? I've just passed 13,000 subscribers. City Extras managed to pass, they've just passed, I think, 11,000 subscribers. Alex Birch, who does City vlogs, I think he's nearing in. He might have even surpassed 10,000 subscribers. Stephen's passed 40,000 subscribers. So the numbers are ever increasing. There's definitely a market there, and I think everyone's interacting and stuff. So I think there's a real market here for City content. And like I said, it's just in 12 months it's grown so much that who knows what will happen in 12 months' time. But 24 months time, 2 years, and you know what I mean, 5 years, 10 years later, and all of a sudden you could be sitting on a little dynasty here of City channels on YouTube, because there's lots of people out there doing lots of good stuff. So yeah, that's good stuff. Good to see.
I've always said, and I've said this to Chris, and I've said it to people on here, I think us lot were all born in the wrong sort of time, because I think City will really explode in 40, 50 years. I think Man City will have that dynasty that Man United have got. But I think, unfortunately, I think it is going to take time for Manchester City to get there. Because like you said, you know, we put in all this work and we do everything. You know, we have people like Chris up there on the channels. Don't know why, but we have him on. I'm not joking with him. But I do think City... they're going to grow. They're going to get bigger, and they're going to get huge. I think they will get up to United's level at some point. You know, I'm talking worldwide.
Yeah.
Stuff. But I just think it'll be in a long time, unfortunately. I hate to say that. You know, to us, this is all fairly new, isn't it, to us? You know, United have done it for everything else, but we'll have to wait and see. Chris, have you got any questions? I have got one more about YouTube. It's about Man City itself. But I'm going to move over to Gloom over there and see if he's got any questions for you.
No, you carry on with your boring YouTube chat, and we'll get back to the football in a minute, Mark.
Well, we are in a minute. We're asking him, calm down. We're all like this, guys. If you don't know, this is what the Empty Seat Show is. It's a bit of a laugh and a giggle. And I'll chat with him. Man City have introduced their new podcast, haven't they?
Who have?
Man City themselves.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Now, do you think that's taken away a little bit of a thing from YouTube channels? Are they trying to... Because some have seen it as a bit of a negative. I have read they've seen it as a negative of they want it all positive and sweetness and lights and bells and whistles. You know, because as we know, Man City don't like negativity. They don't want the real fan to go, he didn't play well today. And as we know, that's what fans really want to hear. They want to hear you, me, Chris, whoever else, and talking, Stephen, Lewis, and the lads over there. They want to hear the truth. They don't want to wear a sugar-coated M&M that goes, oh, he's a bit unlucky today, but, you know, this, that, and the other. Do you think City are doing it in the right way, or do you think they should try and embrace YouTube channels and get them involved, maybe?
When City first put out their tweet that they were doing podcasts, and I think, was it 3 or 4 episodes they said they were doing with former players?
Yeah.
And I sent out a tweet to them. I saw that tweet go live like a minute or two afterwards, and quite a few people interacted with my tweet that I tweeted back to them. And I simply just said, it'd be really nice if City would have content creators on their podcast to speak through. So like we are, and be able to invite people like us onto their podcast to grow their platform. So it's just to help it, to show that City are recognising the hard work and dedication that's going into what we're doing and going into the club. Because at the end of the day, we're all Man City fans, and what we produce and what we put online ultimately does help in the growth of Manchester City. And so it would be nice then for the club to be able to give back to people that are doing that, and that's to be able to have good interaction with fans and with content creators to be able to put them onto the podcast as well. In terms of, do I have a problem with them taking that market away? I'm going to say no, but I'm only going to say that because what City do and how they produce stuff is that City, the majority of the time, tend to just bring in a former player, and then it'll just be another former player, and then another former player, and another former player. And I think eventually City will start to realise that there's more and more market and demand for YouTube and for channels that are growing, rather than having a former player on that some people might not be or might not be be able to recognise and be able to interact with and relate to. I think that's a good word, relate to, be able to relate to them. Whereas me and you guys, we're all relatable. People can come across, they know our platform, they're able to speak to us, they're able to interact with us, and they know that if they interact with us, we'll interact back with them. Whereas with Man City, you interact with them, you're probably not going to get an interaction back from them.
No.
So just a bit of middle ground. They definitely are taking away some markets for some content channels. I think it's important in the YouTube game. The one thing that I've learned in the 4 years or so that I've been on YouTube nearly is that one thing you do when you're producing content is you always have to adapt to your surroundings. And if Man City are going down the podcast route, you need to then come up with a new innovative idea to keep your channel fresh and keeping the people that are watching your videos entertained, and they're wanting to view your next videos, etc., and build up like that. So you've always got to, that's why I'm always trying new stuff. Most of the time probably won't work out. I accept that. All I do is I go away, reflect on it, research on it, and come back stronger and better. And that's the YouTube game ultimately, and that's the easiest way of surviving, is what I'd say for anyone that wants to start a YouTube channel, is to make sure that you're always adapting your content, always improving, and always listening and keeping an eye on what's happening with everybody. I'm not going to name names, but there'll be certain channels out there that will take ideas and they know full well that they've got the platform there, a bigger platform, to completely kill your ideas. which is then where it's very important as to how you then come across when filming your videos.
Yeah.
For example, like my transfer updates and stuff, like I said, I always keep them entertaining. There'll be people out there that can edit better than me. There'll be people out there that can maybe come across better on the camera than me. So I always try and just put a little bit of my personality onto each video, make them individual based that people will enjoy and will come back and watch. And thankfully, people have enjoyed them and they have done that. So I'm able to build myself a little platform, which hopefully I can take to the next level, however long that takes. Persistent.
I mean, I've got to say, I totally agree. And that's where, like this show you're on now, me and Chris sat down with Andy and we're thinking about this show, but and sometimes you got to think of new ideas out of the box.
Yeah.
We didn't know someone, a fresh guest every week to talk about them and what's going on in the world of City at the time. And we just thought it needs to be done. You got to think of fresh ideas all the time. And sometimes it's not easy.
Yeah.
But you know, I'm enjoying it and I try and get my personality out there. I'm trying to get his, you try and get yours. Chris hasn't got a personality, unfortunately. We can't do that.
Maybe people might take to that though. Maybe they might see him as their representative.
I can see myself slipping back to last Monday, Martin.
But yeah,
You bring it all on yourself, mate.
we're like this all the time. This is why we call doom and gloom. We're going to end up on the radio with a breakfast show at some point. I'm telling you the way we're going.
Never out of bed.
I know. I'm going to hand you back over to Gloom. He's going to talk a bit more about the football.
Yeah, just before I do, Jay, I think your channel's great, mate. I think
Thank you very much.
you've got a very friendly way and informative with it, mate. I think obviously this is Man City Fan TV, but I think we should all go and support each other. That's my view with the fan channel.
I'll say something right now. I don't know who will be watching this or anything, but City content creators, I think, from my point of view, should all be working collaboratively with each other to help the growth of each other and having that unit. I think the one thing that's quite unique with the City market on YouTube right now is that there's lots of good channels out there, and that's the key word here is good channels out there. There isn't one or two. I'm talking there's 5 or 6, and these 5 or 6 should be working with each other on a regular basis to really help with each other to help the growth with the channels.
Yeah, I see that. That's my personal view as well. It's not about competition and rivalry.
No.
We all support City and we all do things a little bit differently, and that's why I'm really pleased you've come on tonight, mate. So well done with your channel, mate.
Thank you very much.
Nah, I mean that's we've spoke before, Jay. We spoke for a while now about you do a great job. And the thing is, I said it to you. I think it was 3 months ago you were last on? I can't remember when it.
A couple of months ago, weren't it?
Slept since. But I've got to say, we should all be getting along. We all support the same team. We're all doing the same. Yes, we've all got our little niches, but our subscribers, yours, ours, Stephen's, they want to see everyone. They want to see us all together. They get excited when we're all together.
The thing is, there's a good chance that the majority of my subscribers will be subscribed to all the City content creators. And that's what they're looking for. They're looking for everyone to really be working with each other to be able to develop their game and get better. I think collaborations are a really good way of growth. Really good way of growth. So I think that would be an area for City content creators over the next 12 months or so to really head in that direction of collaborations. They do help. They are a really good idea. And ultimately, I'm always getting requests of collaborations on comments on mine, particularly on live streams and stuff. Ultimately, it's what the people want to see, isn't it, really?
Exactly.
Right.
So it makes sense.
Right, let's get back to the football. So midweek, Bournemouth, all the kids out, 5 kids playing. Something that I've wanted to see, Jay. I don't know about you. I think all City fans want to see the promotion of youth into the first team and see them do well. And I thought there's some really good performances. I thought Tommy Doyle had a very, very good game, and obviously Liam Delap got his goal, took it really well. But what I would sort of bring that down to is that we saw Phil Foden's game. I thought he was man of the match. I thought he had an outstanding game. And I said to Martin, I thought the pass that he played into Delap was almost David Silva passing to Aguero or a Zeko sort of. If it had been, as you said, wonderful football. And that development of Phil Foden, I think now we're seeing the fruition of it. And I won't talk about today so much, but I really want to see some of these players come through. I wonder what you thought about Tommy Doyle and Liam Delap especially.
Okay. First thing with Phil Foden, I think a lot of fans at the moment, they've got that, all they can think about in their brain is the Leicester performance. So that's what they're holding on to without actually seeing the bigger picture. And what we've seen over the last 12 months with Phil Foden is a really good piece of development for him. He's getting to a point where he'll get right in and around the Manchester City first team midfield. And that performance that he put on Thursday evening against Bournemouth really showcased that Phil Foden didn't look like a youngster. He looked like a professional football player, really taking the game by the scruff of the neck and showing his top quality there. And that's all come about from being given first team opportunities. And so I completely agree. You want to, what you would see if you gave these youngsters more and more football is them really developing their game and becoming better. Tommy Doyle's a fantastic example. I can't sit here and tell you what Tommy Doyle's level is because I don't know the answer. What I can say to you, though, is if you play Tommy Doyle more and more in Manchester City's midfield and he's playing more and more around Kevin De Bruyne, you bet your life that his footballing game will develop, and it will develop tenfold. He will become a better player playing around players like Kevin De Bruyne. And that's what's happened with Phil Foden. The unfortunate part with the City Academy is that the competition for places is really high, and it's really specific. And Pep seems to, in my opinion anyway, tend to go for more senior players rather than using younger players. Today's a fantastic example. Liam Delap scored a goal in his last game against Bournemouth. So you would think that with Jesus and Aguero being injured, that you would say that actually this kid that's just came on, he just scored a goal and put in a really good performance against Bournemouth, and he offered something completely different, and he does, to every other forward at Manchester City, that you might just say, actually, here's your time to shine. You're having a start. Go and show us what you can do. Whereas Pep today actually went, I'll go with Raheem Sterling up front instead. Felt like Liam Delap on against Bournemouth. It's one of those. It's fresh. It was good to see. We're talking a tall-ish striker, powerful, can develop his game. What I really liked about Delap was how in the face he was with the defenders, winding them up. A proper old-fashioned striker, actually, really winding up his opposition. And it's really good to see for a City point of view, because the one thing that City rely a lot on is teams making mistakes around them. They force mistakes really well. So if you're really getting in the heads of the defenders and winding them up, you're more likely to draw out rash challenges. Doing that and so end up creating space, a lot of space for the other players. And I was really impressed with how Liam Delap played, and I'm certain that he'll be starting a game against Burnley on Wednesday evening. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do. And his finish that he put away was brilliant. That was a fantastic finish. You wouldn't think that he's making his debut and he's never played a first team professional football match before he came on, but that was a lovely, lovely finish.
Well, what surprised me even more about him is Phil Foden was 17. He looked 17. This Delap, he looks like a man already. He's a big unit.
He looks like he's ready to go.
He does. And I watched the Derby EDS game where he got sent off. He kicked the ball away for a yellow card, and then a bit of a rash challenge saw him get sent off. And there is that sort of. I think his dad said he needs to calm down a little bit. I think the challenge on their keeper towards the end, John Moss was quite lenient, I thought, all game. But I could see another referee maybe taking a stronger action with him. But I'm with you. We need something different up front. And he's, he looks like a tank.
Yeah,
and
he looks brilliant.
Yeah, he's not going to get bullied.
No.
I really like that.
It's totally different because, one, he's not small. So if you look the way City play, we play a lot of balls into the box.
Saw it today with the Leicester match. You know, when Delap came on, got a header on, he hit the crossbar, didn't he? You have Aguero or Jesus in that position, they're not going to win that header. He does win that header. That could easily have gone into the back of the net. You had Kasper Schmeichel scrambling there. That's on target. That goes in.
Yeah.
And it wasn't far away either. So it's a completely different outlet to our game. So it's good to see. I'm hoping he's going to get. I'm hoping he can put in a good performance against Burnley. I'm hoping then we can start to see him more and more this season, because we might have just found ourselves a little gem there, haven't we?
That's the thing. And what you're saying about the EDSO is true. You've got to be very special to break into that first team. You know, there isn't a natural route in for these players, but. This could be an opportunity, like Rashford at United, where injuries saw him get an opportunity.
Yeah. United were forced into that, into playing Rashford, and they've never really looked back since. And now's a good chance as any for the next 4 weeks or so, with Jesus and Aguero being out for the next 4 weeks, that Liam Delap can really get some games. And like I said, he's only started one game for City and he's already got a goal. He's come on the substitute appearance today, hit the crossbar and unlucky not to get himself a goal. So I'm excited. I'm looking forward to that match on Wednesday, just to see what Liam Delap can do.
Yeah. And I think Burnley is the sort of game where he'll thrive on that, competition at the, between him and the defenders. I think we'll see the best of him there.
Yeah, it'll be a good test for him. I'm hoping that Burnley will have a strong team out there. So we'll be going up against Tarkowski. I can't remember who the other centre back is at Burnley. So that'll be a really good test for him. I'm sure he'll be relishing the challenge as well. So I'm looking forward to that.
Exactly. I mean, I've got to say, you hit the nail on the head there, Jay. You said that he's big and he's strong. And one thing, because he's so young and nobody knows him, no one will know how to defend against him. Because it's not, unless they're going to sit and watch EDS games, which they might do, but you haven't got any sort of preference or history to go off with the lad. Wayne Rooney, when he first burst on the scene, nobody knew what to do with the lad.
Yeah.
He was 16.
Yeah.
Look at Rashford at 17. Nobody knew what to do when he come on.
Yeah.
And I've always said, unless you give these kids a chance, you're not going to know how good they really are.
Yeah.
Like all the EDS games they won. But, to where you find out whether they are a man is put them in the first team. Put them up against proper defenders who know how to defend. But I'll tell you one thing he does. He looks like you said, he's like a tank.
Yeah.
He'll just push people out the way. Yeah, he needs to calm down a little bit. But maybe that's just his game. Do you want to take that out of his game a little bit? I don't know.
I'll be honest. I feel like City need more than anything right now is some new ideas and just a little bit of a new way of making things happen. And the one thing that what teams will be preparing for from City is they'll be preparing to sit deep. They'll play with quick attackers and they'll look to play balls forward and then really push them attackers forward. What teams are starting to do a little bit more now, what I've seen in particular since the start of the year, is more teams are going with a more tenacious, dynamic midfield. So they're looking to really get on top of City's midfield, press City's midfield and force the mistakes. And so what City do to counter against that is they work the ball out wide a lot. And as you'd said, they then tend to put balls into the box. The amount of balls that City put into the box is crazy. And the amount of headers that we win in the box is equally as crazy, because we don't seem to ever win any. And so what teams will be preparing, they'll be preparing for that. So what they won't be preparing for is actually having a striker like Liam up front, actually winning them headers. Because if City start to put in decent balls into the box and they start winning them headers, all of a sudden, then teams are going to have to start preparing for that. That's when you start to find space around the midfield. That's when teams stop pressing our midfield. That's when teams stop putting them balls forward. It just keeps things nice and fresh, keeps the teams always guessing, and it makes it really difficult to be able to prepare against us. At the moment, I think teams not so much sussed how Man City play, but they know exactly what's going to happen
Yeah.
And so they can prepare for it. And I think teams are finding it a little bit too easy to be able to prepare for a game against Manchester City. You know that if I was in charge, for example, for the Leeds game, our next Premier League game, if I was Bielsa, what I'd be saying was, I'd be going with a three-man strong midfield. I'd be saying to that midfield, you need to do a lot of running. You need to make sure you're pressing and pushing that line just that little bit further up. You then look at where you're going to get gaps once you've got that ball. Well, actually, Kyle Walker's very quick on the City right-hand side, now a left-hand side. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the opposite flank where there may be a bit of a weakness. Benjamin Mendy doesn't like being ran at, so you put someone that's quick there. Then all of a sudden, what do you do with the two centre-backs? Well, you're going to have a run at them. It's worked very successfully for teams last season in being able to run at City's back line. And that is exactly what teams will be preparing for, and that's how they'll set up. And if I was playing against City on next Saturday, like Leeds are, I'd be going with pace up front, on the wings, and I'd be going with a three-man midfield that's going to be putting a lot of tackles in and are going to do a lot of running and are going to press City's midfield. Look at Leicester today. They did it perfectly. Each one of them midfielders sitting in the middle were all prepared to take yellow cards. They were all prepared to put City's midfield under pressure. And most importantly, you look at City's midfield and you say, who's their best player? Kevin De Bruyne. How do we keep him quiet? We foul him out the game.
Spot on.
Absolutely. So just before we go away from the Bournemouth game and get on to today's shenanigans, Zack Stefan got his first appearance didn't see a great deal of him, but when he was called upon, I thought he did all right. I don't think he had a chance with the goal. Somebody on the channel thought he did, but I didn't. What did you make of him?
What I like most about Zack is he's very boisterous, commands his area very well, telling defenders what to do, and he's seeing everything in front of him. And I think that's a really good thing to see from a goalkeeper. He looks like a very commanding goalkeeper. He plays a very similar style to Ederson. He's prepared to come out of his box. He's prepared to pass the ball. He's prepared to take them risks. But he's also talking to his defenders. He's shouting and he's commanding. And that filled me with confidence. I'm not even playing on the field, but it filled me watching it with confidence. I have confidence that Zack Stefan would be able to turn up and be able to put in a good shift. He'll play against Burnley, and I'm confident, again, he'll put in a good performance. And I'm confident, again, that if Ederson was to pick up an injury or Pep decided to go with Zack for the match against Leeds next weekend, that he'd fill me with confidence that he'd do a good job. Claudio Bravo, on the other hand, when we had him, never, from his time at City, from his start in that first season that we had under Bravo, it never really filled me with a lot of confidence. As the games went on and the seasons went on, and he's playing in the cup games, I started to get a little bit more confident with Bravo. But with Zack Stefan, I feel more comfortable. I know he's a solid goalkeeper. I know he's a young goalkeeper. I know he's got a lot to learn. But from what I've seen and how he's coming across, it looks like he's going to be a real asset to City. I think the only problem I've got with Zack Stefan is I think he's a little bit too good to be sat on City's bench.
Yeah, that could be a concern. But do you feel that we've had an upgrade then between?
100%. Yeah. I think he's an upgrade. I think he's a quality goalkeeper. I'm not sure how long we're going to have him for. There will come a point. I think he's the USA's #1 choice as well. He'll be wanting to play regular first-team football, and he'll be wanting to play for a good quality side. And I think he's happy to learn from Ederson and play for City. How long that will be for, I'm not so sure. I think it's a very, very similar situation to the situation with Man United's keeper. Is it Henderson?
Yeah.
Is that his name? Yeah, Henderson.
Yeah.
One that played for Sheffield United last season. I think he's a quality goalkeeper that's far too good to be playing an understudy to David De Gea. And there will come a point where if he doesn't replace him in that team, that he'll need to leave. And I think Zack Stefan's the exact same. The only problem is David De Gea seems to be on the decline a little bit, whereas with Ederson, albeit it's not, he needs a kick up the bum, basically, doesn't he? He needs pushing all the way. But in my opinion, he's still a top quality goalkeeper. Yeah. Certainly still one of the best goalkeepers in the world. And his distribution is absolutely fantastic, and it'll serve City very, very well. He's a modern, something I call a modern goalkeeper, Ederson. Alisson's the exact same at Liverpool. Modern goalkeepers playing with their feet. They're not scared to come out of the box, making things happen. And ultimately, it's like having a midfielder in net with distribution. It's a real asset.
Yeah, I think I can't think of another keeper in the world who suits Pep's style more than what Ederson does. So that, you know, if Pep was to leave, then I don't know, maybe you'd get a different coach who would have a different view on how he wants his keeper to play. But yeah, for me, he's something else, Ederson. He's a bit of a wow keeper.
He is.
So
I think he makes mistakes, and I think that just comes naturally with how he plays, and you have to accept that. The stats bother me that City don't face many shots on target, and we concede for the stats that are showing that we concede a lot of goals for how many shots we actually have on target. And when I look at the numbers, they concern me. But when I'm watching him play, I never really seem that concerned, if I'm completely honest. I've more accepted that Ederson offers something different to Man City other than just shot stopping. Because ultimately, he's not the best shot stopper, but he is fantastic at how we want to play our football and his distribution. And ultimately, that's what we want. There's better shot stoppers out there. You could sign them and bring them in at City, and all of a sudden, City will be facing more shots, but distribution's not as good. Our play wouldn't be as good. And ultimately, we'd end up then conceding more.
Well, yeah, I mean, Golden Glove winner last year as well. Yeah. 2 games in this season, he's let 6 in. So, but today, I mean, and the goal against Wolves, he didn't have a chance with any of them, did he? You know, so
yeah.
So let's get on to today. Painful.
Yeah. I'll be for the first half. I was optimistic. I wasn't even that concerned when Leicester had got their first penalty and scored. I wasn't that concerned about it. Second half was just not good. So we'll break it down. We'll speak about the first half first and what I thought went really well. One thing I'm always looking for from City is their ability to put teams under pressure from minute 1. And so being able to score after 4 minutes in this game put Leicester under the ultimate pressure, which is going behind. If you go behind after 4 minutes, your game plan comes undone. And they have to force a response. And Leicester, in my opinion, were more than happy to sit deeper and keep City out for as long as possible. It reminds me very similar to the game when Vincent Kompany scored that absolute screamer to really push us towards winning that Premier League title. That's how I was expecting Leicester to be today. That went out the window after 4 minutes once we went ahead. I felt like we got on top of Leicester. Leicester weren't making anything happen. They weren't having shots. They were putting some balls forward for their attackers to run onto. But whilst it looked a bit jittery at the back from City, they actually did deal with everything that came their way. One thing I thought was a big positive, and I'm sure lots of fans will be very upset about today's result. One thing we was really good on today, though, was set pieces, and something we've not been very good on for the last few years has been our set pieces. Time after time, you're seeing corners go into the near post, not beating the first man, or we choose to pass our corners and not ultimately putting a ball into the box. Whereas today, where we've been very opportunistic with putting our balls into the box. It's like we'd noticed something with Leicester that we was going to put these balls into the box, was going to make sure that they were quality and was going to put them under pressure. Fernandinho first half missed a very good opportunity. He managed to stay onside, by the way, from that. I think it was a free kick from De Bruyne. He ended up just being a little bit behind him, and he put the header straight into the hands of Kasper Schmeichel. Few minutes later, though, De Bruyne, near enough the same area, puts a very similar ball in. You're always looking for the ball to be between the penalty spot and the 6-yard box. Puts it back in, bang on the money once again. Rodri goes a little bit too early, so he's behind the ball. He, this time, though, manages to get a really good head onto the ball, not straight into his hands, puts it into the back of the net. Unfortunately, the offside flag went up, but all the warning signs were there that City were exploiting Leicester's vulnerabilities at the back, and must have been something that we've been preparing on, because I thought for once that we were really good on that. And our second goal with Ake, we know with Ake, he might not be the tallest, but he is very good in the air, and he is able to put the ball into the back of the net from corners and from set pieces. And that was something, again, we was able to see. So what we've found is another attribute for us to be able to score goals. We score a lot of goals anyway, but adding set pieces on top of them is a way to go. People are leaving the comments about Diaz, I can see as well, which is good to see, because I'm happy that once he comes in as well into the team, that set pieces once again will become, I'm hoping, a strength for City.
What's your thoughts on Ake 2 games in?
Thought against Wolves, he looked very fresh and offered something completely new to City. He looked motivated. He looked like he wanted to make everything work. Today's game, I didn't think he had the greatest of games. I didn't think he looked bad. I didn't think he looked great either. But he's quick, and his job here. He's going to struggle to displace Aymeric Laporte out of the City backline. So he's here to play whenever Laporte is injured or he's needing a rest. And so actually having someone of Ake's quality playing as rotation to Aymeric Laporte is brilliant. I think he's a really good player. His pace will help City out, in particular with how high our line is at the back. So I'm confident. I think Ake will be a really good signing for us.
Sorry, mate.
Well, you go on, mate.
I was just going to say, I think he'll play a few games at left back as well. I think Ben Mendy, whether it's his form or the fact that he can't seem to play back-to-back games, 2-3 games in a week, I think he'll get some game time there. I think Aymeric Laporte is obviously our main man, and I think if Diaz does come in, that is a really good centre-back partnership on paper. Let's hope it works out.
Hang on. Who's always told you about Ruben Diaz for the last 7 months?
You'll find this with Martin J. He throws about 1,000 names out and says, I told you.
No. Hey, go back 6 months on the channel for us, and I've always said Ruben Diaz.
Well, last summer we were talking about it, and it was Diaz and Skriniar were the 2 names that came out. So, should be a good
one. Yeah, I'm just going to bring this in. Sir Alan would ask Marwood negotiate and buy players rather than Chica, like he did from, I think he means 2008 to 2012. Chica can't close. Jay, I know we're gonna go on to the second half, but what do you think of the transfer dealings? Because I mean, from everything we've read, this was meant to be the big summer.
Yeah, hit and miss is how I'd describe it. What's happened with the transfer market this summer, or what I've found anyway, is I think everyone had become, for 2 or 3 weeks, obsessed with that Lionel Messi transfer and trying to make that work. And everyone's focus went towards that Lionel Messi transfer, when I'm not actually sure Lionel Messi was on City's mind at any one point until they found out that he might become available. He wasn't on our shopping list of what players we were looking for this summer. The one thing I'm really disappointed with, not so much with the Ruben Diaz transfer, is more how long it's taken for us to sign a right-sided centre-back. Now, we know we'd been chasing Kalidou Koulibaly, and that took 2 months. But we all know what ADL is like at Napoli, so I don't really understand why it took City 2 months to, basically dilly-dallying around, making their minds up on what they wanted to do. If we wanted Ruben Diaz, we could easily have got this transfer done 2 months ago. And so we could have had him happily settled already in Manchester, already playing for Manchester City, and obviously having a few training sessions as well, whereas now he's obviously going to come in within the last week of the transfer market, which isn't ideal, if I'm honest. You don't want to be signing players this late into the window. You'd rather have your players already signed by the time your season does start. I think that pretty much, in my opinion, summarises our transfers for this summer. We worked really hard and really quick with the Ferran Torres and Nathan Ake transfers. I was happy with them transfers. I was happy with the pace that they were signed and sealed in. Yeah. I do agree with that comment, though, on Chicky being able to close out deals and making things happen. Whether you agree with City's transfer policies or not, I think we can all safely say that City's ability to negotiate leaves, in my opinion anyway, a lot to be desired. We like to sign players that have release clauses because we don't want to run the risk of getting ripped off in the market, which is completely understandable. That's why we go a lot to Spain to be able to sign our players so we don't have to negotiate. But if you're going to base your summer transfers on signing a player that doesn't have a release clause and you're going to have to negotiate, surely you would be looking to make it or get it done as quickly and efficiently as possible. And everything this summer's kind of just dragged on, really. Sagas, that's pretty much been my story of the transfer window for 2 months, speaking about sagas. I got fed up of saying Kalidou Koulibaly's name. I got fed up of spelling it out all the time. I've got fed up of finding PNGs and putting them on my thumbnails. It's just driving me insane. Driving me absolutely insane.
Tell me about it. And I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know if that 2 weeks of Messi helped anything. Because I think that took our eyes off the ball.
Yeah. It's the problem that it's a difficult transfer. I mean, to sign a player of Lionel Messi's caliber from his boyhood club Barcelona, it's just so difficult. I mean, everyone compares it to Cristiano Ronaldo, don't they, with Lionel Messi? And Cristiano Ronaldo's been involved with transfers before. I would describe as trying to sign Cristiano Ronaldo has probably been easier than trying to sign Messi, purely on the basis that Messi's never left Barcelona.
Yeah.
So it's just a difficult deal. There was on about it going to court. There was on about, is he a free contract? Is he available? Can we sign him? Barcelona were saying they wanted 700 million euros, and it's just it was dreamlike. It was too good to be true, so to speak, and we wasted time doing that.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, and let's be honest. I mean, people now say that we'll go back for him in January. He could sign a pre-contract. That's what I mean. I've said it. I've always said, are we keeping our powder dry right now? Because we're going back after him in January.
Well, if we got told right at the beginning of the transfer window, we had a £300 million war chest, 4 or 5 players. I remember the quotes: 300 million, 4 to 5 players City are looking at to freshen up their squad to challenge for the Premier League for next season. And as you say, it hasn't really happened, has it?
No, it hasn't. And I mean, I heard that as well. I heard it was true. I mean, I went live on the channel with it, and I got told, well, City haven't said that. I think it was Sam Lee who said it, and a couple of others, that we had this war chest to go at. But no one was sure whether it was net or pre-net post. No one knew what it was. But I'm happy with Ruben Diaz. Do you think Diaz will be the last one? Or do you think we're in for a busy 8 days or whatever it is now?
I think, I don't think we'll sign anyone else after Ruben Diaz. That doesn't mean I don't think that City are not going to be having a look. I think City are going to still continue with, naturally, what's happened today against Leicester. I think for the next 8 days, we're going to be in for a busy 8 days because we're going to be getting linked with what the media are going to consider positions that we need to strengthen in. So they're going to be linking us with players. And I think City will be having a look that should a good player in a position that we are looking at. So we know that City want to sign a striker. We know that City want to possibly add a midfielder, and we know a left back as well. So we already know the business that City want to get done within the next 12 months or so. That should any player come available for an affordable price, that City would look to possibly get that done over the next 8 days. And I think the media, though, are going to link us with a lot of players, but I'm not sure that we will actually go out there and actually sign anyone. I think it's a big difference, what I've found, between being interested and wanting to sign a player and actually signing them. Big difference.
Is there any position you think does need filling?
There was a Twitter follower that I was trying to ease some tension with the other day that I was speaking about, and I was speaking about Husam Aura of Lyon. I think he is one of the best midfielders in the world, and lots of people can come forward and say lots of stuff to me. You will not change my mind on that. I've watched him play against City's midfield, and he's wonderful.
Andy does not want Aura and does not rate him at all, and he is on. And he'll tell you he's a load of rubbish. I like him. And what I've found with Husam Aouar is you either like him or you don't. What I've found, I don't think there's a middle. From everyone I've seen, they either want him or they just don't want him. There seems to be no middle ground with him.
What I really like about him is how tenacious he is in midfield. He is an excellent tackler of the ball. What he does is he tackles, then distributes really quickly. I saw it in I've seen him play 3 times against City, and all 3 times he has looked fantastic. He's come in Champions League quarterfinal just a couple of months ago. Massive game in the Champions League quarterfinal. No expectation on that Lyon team. They're expecting to get beat. He turns up and just completely dictates a midfield that's made up of. It's got David Silva. It's got Kevin De Bruyne in it. It's got Ilkay Gundogan. It's got Rodri. You know what I mean? And he's just come forward and just shown that he is such a wonderful football player. He's getting linked with a move to Arsenal, and this is what I was getting into a debate over. That. In my opinion, no disrespect to Arsenal, but I think he's too good to play for them. He's too good to be playing Europa League football. He's too good to be finishing for a team that last season finished 8th. No disrespect to Arsenal, because I think Arteta is a wonderful manager, and I think Arsenal could, with consistency, break into the top 4 this season. I just think Husam Aouar he's just too good. I think he's too good, and I really want him at City. And if he ends up going to Arsenal, I'll be very, very disappointed. Very disappointed. I wanted City to be ruthless, is what I said after that Champions League game against Lyon. I wanted us to be ruthless in this transfer market, and I'm not sure that we have.
No, I would instead of being, I would still put lust on the end, but I'm more toothless than we have been ruthless. But I'm waiting at the minute. I've got my opinions ready for 8 days. Chris knows. Andy doesn't yet, but I am ready to go in 8 days' time. I will say my bit then, because I don't know. Because I'm with you. Why we messed with Koulibaly for 2 months, and then we run out, and then we end up at Kouande. He's actually Kouande. He's actually how it's a French person, and I pronounced it as Kouande. Not Cowardly, whatever you want.
I wouldn't come to me for pronunciations. I'm probably one of the worst out there.
That's fine.
Jay, I'm known on this channel for absolutely butchering names. You know, Umpa Mencano, and Andy says I call him Umpa Lumpa. And I don't. I call him Umpa Mencano, but apparently I call him Umpa Lumpa.
There's no M.
One thing I've seen with fans, you've probably seen it because you're on Twitter like me and Andy and Chris, is everyone was Koulibaly, including me, because he was experienced, he was 29, and I'm not, but I'm never bothered about money. I'm one of these, it's not my money, I'm not bothered.
Mm-hmm.
You know, deal over the line. But then it was all Kouande, and then that didn't happen, and now we're going after Diaz, and now everyone's suddenly an expert on Kouande. Knows all about him. They've watched him for 4 years. You know, this, that, and the other. And now Diaz is crap and Kouande is amazing. And it's like, you don't actually. I'm just seeing a lot of flip flop at the moment.
Yeah.
And we're not. And it looks like Diaz is getting buried before he's even in the door.
Yeah. I think it naturally comes about for what's happened this summer that you can't help but think that Diaz is the third choice, the plan C for City rather than plan A. And City will obviously come out and say that he was plan A, and that's the signing that City's been working on to try and get done all summer. And obviously the interest has been there all summer. City have been interested in Diaz a lot longer than this summer because we scouted Ake for 18 months. And as far as I'm aware, Ruben Diaz has been a player that City's been linked with and had a look at for over 18 months as well. So it isn't a new player that we've gone out there and panic buyed, and to say he's a plan C, I think is really unfair. I think it's just more come down to affordability for City. I don't think City want to get ripped off in this market. And I think with what's happening with the pandemic market, prices are down, aren't they? Liverpool are picking up quality of Thiago for £20 million. Yeah. And then City are getting quoted as £70+ million for a 29-year-old who's the same age, I think, as Thiago, getting quoted as 70 million plus pounds to be able to sign him. And it's just ridiculous. Now, my stance on this would be, if I've identified a player, so if we did want Koulibaly to be our main man, our main signing for this summer, I would probably have gone out and just spent the money and got that signing done. If you really want a player, you will go out there and you will spend that money. Yeah. He's affordable. We're not talking 150 to 200 million pounds. We're talking 5 million extra on top of our record signing. So it's City spending a lot of money, but they're not exactly breaking the bank and they're not doing a PSG where they spent 200 million on Neymar and 150 odd million pound on Mbappe in one transfer window like they did. We're just talking an extra 5 million, and that's where this has all come about from.
Well, I think there was and see again, and Andy says to me that Andy says I listen to media too much. The problem is we've only got media to go off, because as a YouTube channel, Man City will never come out and go, we're after this player and that player, and no club does that. So you can only go off the media.
Yeah, I'll be honest.
What did he say? We weren't gonna mess around over 5 or 10 million anymore. We were gonna, if there was a difference of 5 or 10 million, apparently we were just gonna spend it.
Yeah,
we weren't gonna mess around. Yeah. But we seem to have messed around over 5 or 6 or 7 million again.
Yeah. It's just gone back to how Man City do their transfers again this summer, and this summer was really looking for us to be ruthless in this market, but not really happened. So have City ever put in an offer? So from my understanding is City I'm not even sure directly we spoke with ADL at Napoli, because they just simply cannot talk to him after what happened with Jorginho. They simply won't go into negotiations with him. Koulibaly's agent has definitely been in Manchester at least 2 or 3 times. So City have definitely been speaking to him and been able to get information across to him and an offer put across to Napoli via Koulibaly's agent, is how this transfer has been handled, which I think is a big problem. I think if you're not going to negotiate directly with a team, then you're always struggling to make a transfer happen. It's just City. I just don't think City wanted to get stung basically by Napoli once again when it comes to transfers. But we know what to expect, so I don't understand why we even spoke to Koulibaly's agent. Why would we just automatically go on to another target? Why would you even? It just didn't make sense to me. I understand trying to see if he's available and for what price, but I wouldn't let it get anything beyond that. If Napoli came and said that they wanted 70+ million pound and City said we're not going to pay that for a player, surely you'd just walk away then, months ago. So,
well, that seems to be how City approach transfers. They've got a valuation on the player, and if it goes beyond that, we walk away. But this one with Koulibaly seems to has dragged on for whatever reasons. It seems mad. It seems mad to me that they're not able to talk to each other, straight to Napoli. That just seems a bit mad. So Martin's totally taken us away from today's game.
You could sit here honestly and do like a 3 or 4 hour live stream just on transfers. They're that interesting. Yeah, definitely.
I do apologise, mate.
So we're 1-1. I mean, Kyle Walker with a bit of a clumsy challenge. great penalty by Vardy, but then the second half turns and it's a bit like last week against Wolves, really, where first half was fantastic to a second half where we probably weren't the better team.
Yeah, game of two halves.
Yeah. Do you think it could be anything, the fact that we've had no pre-season, so maybe we aren't quite at the races just yet? Or are we seeing similar pattern to last season?
$1 million question there, really. There's lots of excuses as to why the result that happened today happened. Injuries is going to be the first one. When City having to put 3 academy players on the bench, we're already looking short of numbers. We've not got an out-and-out striker, Gabriel Jesus and Sergio Aguero, out injured, so automatically you're already under pressure. You're already, you're right, needing to put in a good performance, aren't you? You're already then wanting to come forward. You wanting to be able to play your way, but without having the players there. And I think that really came across today as City's style of play, but without having the right players in the right positions for how we wanted to play. So I think today's game, I think more than anyone, felt like we missed a little bit of clinicalness up front. So I felt like we missed Aguero. I think today's Aguero would have really caused Leicester a lot of problems that would have ultimately created some space for us. So first excuse I'm going to say is injuries up front. Next, I look at the back. Aymeric Laporte isn't fully fit to play. We've obviously not gone out there and signed that right-sided centre-back. And then the news of John Stones' injury just before the game doesn't exactly fill you with confidence that you've got Eric Garcia, a player that we all know he wants to go to Barcelona. So he doesn't necessarily want to be at City anymore, is where we're at. And then ultimately, I think the biggest injury we had was João Cancelo not being able to play, because when he played at left back, I think he's looked very comfortable there. I feel like he's seeing Cancelo playing at left back. Mendy has his critics. I think I'm not a real fan of Benjamin Mendy over the last couple of seasons, if I'm completely honest. I think when he was playing for Monaco, he was an exceptional player. His best attribute was his distribution and his ability to put in wonderful, dynamic, fantastic crosses into the box. Low down crosses that caused us problems, crosses that knocked us out of the Champions League when we played Monaco.
Yeah.
And he doesn't seem to be able to do that anymore.
I'm with you totally. Ben Mendy, for me,
it's a problem, isn't it? It's a problem.
It's a real issue. A real issue. He's not the only one. If I'm honest, there's 3 players who I think are regulars for the team who aren't quite performing to their capabilities. I think he's one. I think Raz isn't performing consistently well. Who is a great player, don't get me wrong, but not consistently performing. And I think the same with Riyad Mahrez, another really good footballer who isn't producing what he is capable of. I thought, what a wonderful goal today, don't get me wrong, an absolute worldie of a goal that was. But did he do anything else the rest of the game?
It's difficult. I think the most, with the wingers, Ferran Torres is a good signing for us. He's young and he's going to need at least 2 seasons before we see the best out of him. We've let a quality, and I mean a quality player in Leroy Sané leave, and you've replaced him in a player that's going to need at least a couple of seasons before he's hitting a good top level for us. And so if Raheem Sterling and Riyad Mahrez aren't really on the money and we've got an injury already to Bernardo Silva, we don't really have much else there, do we? Really?
No, I agree. But how do you feel about this inverted wingers?
I'll be honest. I felt like City played our best football when we had our wingers hogging that touchline. So we had Leroy Sané and Raheem Sterling. I'll be honest, I prefer Raheem Sterling playing on the right rather than the left, if I'm honest. But there we go. I'm not a real fan of this left-footed players play on the right and right-footed players play on the left, and you have to keep twisting and turning because then players know exactly what to expect. You know, you always wanted to go onto your stronger foot. But I felt like we always played our best football when we had players hogging that touchline, really stretching that pitch, making it nice and big, lots of running around the middle, tiring them legs out. And there was nothing better than having someone like Leroy Sané on the left pick up that ball, running, a very quick player in Sané as well, running at tired legs from the left. And he used to be very, very dynamic. He used to have that real German mentality about him, didn't he, Leroy Sané? Of being able to just cause problem at any one time. I don't like criticizing Pep too much, but I don't think Pep knew how to really utilize or get the best out of Leroy Sané. And I don't think our system really suited Sané too much once Pep wanted to change how our wingers were playing, and how Leroy Sané, I reckon, is going to light up the Bundesliga with Bayern, because they play exactly what suits him and how he wants to play. Being able to run at defenders, being able to pick up the ball in deep and be able to just run with that ball, hit him on the counter attack, and score goals and get assists. And that is what Leroy Sané is really good at. And I think he is, albeit he spent last season injured, but he's a huge loss to us. And I would do anything to have the option of having Leroy Sané, a fully fit, fresh Leroy Sané, ready to go for the season.
I think
Bayern's
left side's going to be frightening.
Yeah.
That's, pace and everything.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I know that Martin fell out of love with the Leroy when he wanted to go, but for me, he was the most exciting player we had. He was the one who got me out of my seat the most. Wonderful player. So penalties, 3 penalties given against us at home, all quite similar as well.
Thank you, Alan.
It's really hard to even talk about them with any sort of analysis on it. There were just 3 very similar penalties, all soft, but were all penalties at the end of the day. And a disappointing mistake by Kyle and Ben Mendy, and as well for Garcia. Just 3 huge mistakes in a one game. It's just crazy. The other 2 goals, I haven't got a problem. Madison's goal was an absolutely fantastic finish. There was mistakes in the build-up, and I thought Vardy's flick finish was wonderful. But again, 3 of those goals down to defensive errors.
Yeah.
And this is something that it seems to be we're hanging on to.
Yeah. Seeing your chat there, Sam Elliott's just put 3 penalties is embarrassing. And I'm going to go one step further and say committing 3 penalties in one game is disgraceful. You should not be conceding 3 penalties in a game. You shouldn't be conceding any penalties in a game. So to concede 3, and like you said, 3 very similar penalties in a game is telling me that the players aren't learning around each other and aren't learning their lessons. And surely, because the first penalty was committed in the first half, that when you go in at half time, surely you'd be saying to the players, when you're going in for challenges, in particular around the box, don't be doing silly stuff like stepping across the player and going into the back of them and having arms out and stuff like that. Surely you'd be telling the players not to do anything stupid. What Kyle Walker did was a mistake. Then Eric Garcia goes and makes a mistake, a silly mistake. Then Benjamin Mendy. I mean, the Benjamin Mendy one was just completely unforgivable, because the Garcia one was a coming together. So it was a little bit different to the Walker one. Walker stepped across where Garcia went in.
I'm the opposite on that. I can't forgive the Garcia one.
Can you not?
If you watch it, Vardy comes up from behind him.
Yeah.
He doesn't know where Vardy is at all. He has no awareness around him of where Vardy is, where he's going. And to me, that's a big communication issue between the back line. Why can't someone tell Garcia that Vardy's coming up behind him? And as he turns straight into Vardy and clips him, and down he goes.
Yeah.
And even though it was soft, and to me, that's just positional awareness and knowing your surroundings. But yeah. I'm going to be honest, I have an issue with Garcia even being in the team right now. If I'm honest,
But Martin, I think we had no choice, did he? Stones is out.
Howard Bellis.
Possibly, yeah.
I know you say he ain't got a choice, but Garcia doesn't want to be there. Garcia has openly said he wants to go.
Yeah.
He wanted to stay when Messi would come in, apparently. Of course you would. Of course you want to stay when Messi's coming. But he doesn't want to stay. Doesn't want to sign the contract. So what are we doing? I get there was defensive issues, but THB was there. And if you can give Delap a go, why can't you give Howard Bellis a go?
I'm more disappointed that we're willing to let the talent like Tosin leave as well, because he's had a really good... I was really hoping that he'd get around the first team squad just to show the players that have all headed out on loan this season that if you work really hard on a loan spell, you can reap the rewards of that. And I definitely feel like a confident player in Tosin would have been a better option than having a Garcia there that doesn't want to be here. And it's handling the situation with Tosin's been quite frankly poor from City's behalf, that it's gotten to a point that a player that said he wants to captain Manchester City within the next 5 years has said that he now wants to leave, and not just wants to leave out on loan, but wants to leave on a permanent transfer, and he refuses now to sign a new contract at City. That's poor handling. That's really poor, considering we've got a young player like Garcia that wants to leave. That surely you'd say, okay, Barcelona, what do you want to pay for him? Get a deal done, and then say to Tosin, fantastic, you had a great loan spell, in you come.
Yeah.
Would that not make sense?
It does. I'm not sure Tosin is a Pep kind of a player, but
I'm not so sure, but
I know what you're saying. No. I know what you're saying. He had a good season last year, didn't he?
It's all about just showing that it can be done, that you head out on loan, that you can come back to Manchester City and still make a success of it. It's just back to the academy again. You need to be promoting academy players and making sure that they're featuring regularly for City in the first team squad to give hope to all the academy players that are working really, really hard to make successful footballing careers for themselves, that with hard work, dedication and talent that they've all got, that if you apply yourself, you can make it.
Absolutely.
So, obviously, we've talked about we've not managed to beat Leicester, so we've got Burnley going forward, and then we've got Leeds. How do you feel? Where do you think we'll be by the end of next week, Jay, in terms of, do you think it'll be 2 wins? I mean, the way we could look at this, we could have 4 wins out of 5 by next week.
Yeah.
And everything's rosy again.
Right. Well, first, I'm going to ask a question to you, first of all. Are you bothered if we go out on Wednesday?
I've got to be consistent here. No. And I'm going to be honest with you, and I said this in my post-match, I think the way the fixtures have been done and I understand what's going on. We started late. The way the fixtures have been done is absolutely, he's bordering on criminal. What's going on? It's like these players are a piece of meat. We've had no pre-season. We've had no games. Pep's been quarantined. And then all of a sudden, we've got to play 7 games into it's just not on at the moment. And no wonder we've only got 12 fit players.
I think over the next 12 months or so, because you've got a European Championship at the end of this season in the summer, that player fatigue and injury is going to be absolutely horrendous. City are suffering really bad from injuries, and I think this is going to be a common occurrence for us this season. I don't think we're going to be the only team to suffer with them. I think a lot of the Premier League teams will suffer with them. And so I find it crazy. I find it really crazy that the Premier League teams voted in to go back to making only 3 substitutions rather than 5. I really cannot. I can't get my head around it. It's such that decision's been made by Premier League teams blinded. I think they've looked at City. I think they've looked at City, and I think they've got a really good strength in depth team that can hurt us with all their substitutions. I don't like that. That's handing them an advantage. So I want to go back to 3 substitutes rather than 5. And that's going to come back for all them teams that have voted to go back to 3 in substitutes rather than 5, that's going to come back and really bite them. I can't get my head around it. I can't get my head around it. They're playing a whole season. We haven't had a pre-season, and we've not played any professional football games for this season throughout August. So we're already 2 months behind where we normally are. They're squeezing in this season. Squeezing this season in. This loss and this shock that's happened with City against Leicester, I don't think going to be the first one. I've had a chat with lots of football fans, and we all came to an agreement that this points tally at the top that City and Liverpool have set the precedent for is going to come right down. Can't possibly be maintained at such a high level with the amount of football that has been played since football resumed in June. Yeah. You're talking near enough a constant, 12, 13 months by the end of the season, 12, 13 months of consistent football. And I can't get my head around that substitute thing, though. Just can't get my head around it. I think it's just terrible. So what I would do, going back to that Carabao Cup, you want to make this season as easy as possible. We've won the Carabao Cup. We've won it plenty of times. I wouldn't have been bothered on Thursday evening if we'd gone out against Bournemouth. I'm delighted for the young lads that we've got a win. And I've got the same mentality on Wednesday as well. I want to win the Carabao Cup because I want my team to be successful. I want to win everything. Okay? I want to win absolutely everything. But if it's a choice between winning the Carabao Cup and ended up with a really bad burnout that we end up having a really bad Premier League and Champions League campaign, or the choice is to go out the Carabao Cup nice and early and not have a fixture congestion. Yeah. Considering we've already won the Carabao Cup for the last few seasons, I'd probably say someone else have it.
Well, you say that, Jay, but we're already out of the league now, aren't we, after today? Just concentrate on the cup.
I tell you right now that if I'm sensing it, okay, Arsenal get something at Anfield tomorrow, all of a sudden everyone will be rubbing their hands. And I was just saying before I came live that this Premier League season, I think 80 to 85 points could be a winning Premier League total for this season. I think the point tally might come down that much. And so I'm looking at consistency. I looked at Leicester today. They're looking good. I've watched Everton. They're looking really good. These are teams, I'm not saying they're going to win the Premier League, but these are teams that are looking really good that could well cause a shock or two here.
Callum Houghton's gone for Arsenal 2-1 win. I agree. You know what? Liverpool have lost their advantage being at home with all that. With the crowd.
They rely a lot on the crowd, don't they? They do. They play. They play to the crowd there. And I think, like I said, so what City need right now is a good pick me up, and what we can't afford for if we want to win this Premier League trophy is to allow Liverpool to really get on top. So I'm hoping that we can get a favour from Arsenal tomorrow, because if you let this Liverpool team get ahead, they'll run away with it once again if we allow them to do that. And the defeat today doesn't help. We've obviously had that game against Villa postponed as well, so we're already. They've got the points. We've got the game in hand. You're always chasing, and it's very, very difficult that once you allow a team of quality to lead and get a good points tally to be able to claw that back. And Liverpool shown last season they're very good at leading.
Yeah, we don't chasing again. I totally agree with that. Chris, have you got anything you want to add before we wrap up? So I don't want to.
No, we've gone on a lot longer than we said we would. I was going to say, I think the Leeds game will be a fantastic game. 2 really good managers coming up against the good attacking football. I am looking forward to watching that. Hopefully, we'll come out the winners of it. But Jay, what about you? Do you think you're looking forward to it?
I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be a good footballing game. I think it'll be goals in there. I don't think Bielsa, the one advantage we've got is that Bielsa's not really known for his defending. So there's going to be opportunities there for City to be able to create opportunities and put the ball in the back of the net. Leeds will sense the same from us. They'll be thinking to themselves that City look a bit vulnerable at the back. They're going to be able to create opportunities and put the ball into the back of the net. And so I think we'll end up with a really high-scoring game, very similar to that one that happened at Anfield. Leeds, in that game against Liverpool were really clinical. So we could be in for a classic game. 6-5. Couldn't rule it out.
That'd be enjoyable.
Okay. Sorry, where have we got it here? Dr. J, fingers crossed we get at least 2 new plays this week.
That'd be nice.
That'd be good.
Maybe a new left back, centre back.
I think if I would say that if Ruben Diaz will become a Man City player, I'm confident of that. If we're going to add another player, I would have thought it would be a left back.
Well, I've heard Fico.
Oh, okay. All I've heard at the moment was Tellez, but apparently United having a good look at him, so I couldn't imagine City going in there. So we'll see. A week's a long time in the transfer window, particularly getting towards deadline day. Everything gets a bit manic, so we'll see what happens in the next week, and we'll work from there. Really,
we will. Have you got any more questions, Mr. Bate, Mr. Gloom?
I have no more questions, mate. I just want to thank Jay for coming on. Brilliant guest.
No problem. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, thanks for coming, mate. But there's only one Ginger Prince, mate.
Am I the king, or?
Well, you can be. Yeah.
you two got a moment?
Get out of it.
Guys, please hit a like on the video. Over 130 odd and 45 likes. Come on, get those likes up, guys.
What likes you on?
We are on. I'm just getting it now. 59 now. It is going up.
We'll get that to 100. I'll send mine over. We'll get that to 100.
I know, guys. We are so close. I will tell you now. We are just over. I'll tell you exactly how many we are. We are to 15,000. We are literally less than 150 away from 15,000 now. It is in touching distance. Guys, please hit that subscribe button. Go over to Jay's channel, JSGC. Give him a like, a subscribe, and a watch.
Thank you very much.
Stuff. Guys, we're all city channels. We are all one big community. You should all be supporting each other. We are going to do a lot more collabs. We're going to try and get as many collabs going as we can because that's what you guys want. You want that, and we will make sure we give you that. But a big, big thank you to Jay tonight for coming on.
Thank you very much for having me on.
Mate.
Brilliant, mate. Brilliant.
You know, thank you, so much. Guys, it has been a long one. I started streaming at 4 o'clock.
Oh.
We both have.
Amazing effort.
We both have, yeah. Yeah. Haj won't be happening, mate. Just so I know that won't be happening. There's background on that. But unfortunately, that won't be happening, Haj. So I do apologise, mate. What I'm going to do is please hit a like, hit a subscribe. I will be back tomorrow with a play rating of today's game. I don't even know how that's even going to go.
I'm glad I'm at work.
How do I do a play ratings for today?
Good luck. That's what I'll say with that.
You're not doing one.
No, I've got fan reactions. I'm more than happy for everyone else to do the talking rather than me, if I'm honest.
Oh yeah, gonna know. It's gonna be fun. It's going to be fun. But Jay, big thank you, mate. You are absolute superstar. Thank you for coming on. And
no problem. Thanks for having me on.
We'll have to come over to you at some point, mate, and we'll.
I've said I'm bad at this streaming. I'm still learning. Once I've learned how,
we'll come over and lower the tone.
Yeah.
But no, cheers, Jay. Exactly. Sam Elliott. Cheers, Jay. Absolutely spot on.
No problem.
He's an absolute superstar. Guys, this has been the Empty Seat Show. Next week, you are in for a treat again. Trust me, you will want to be on that one as well. We have got some crackers lined up. Thank you, Doopy. It has been a great collab. Haj, thank you, mate. Much appreciated. Guys, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and make sure your notifications are set to public, not private, so you know when we are on, because it's amazing how many of you, Jay will tell you this, have not actually got them on. And then you're going, I didn't know you were live. Well, because you've not got your Some call them notifications, some call them push bells, all sorts of whistles, the old kid caboodle. But yeah, get them on, and then you
shut
know
up and get off.
So, Jay, what do you think I'm on a Right. Have a great start to the week. I'll be back tomorrow. I'll let you know the time. As always, up the Blues. From me, Doom, Gloom, and from JSGC. Take care, Blues. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.